Cool. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, people. Welcome back to Jollof after Jummah. Before I go any further, PSA: if you're listening or / watching on YouTube, make sure you do us a favor and obviously hit that subscribe button and leave a thumbs up as well. We for the because it really helps us. If you love us just a bit. And obviously if you're listening on Apple or then however you can, just leave a bit of feedback, whether it's 5-star review, 4-star review, whatever. Just be honest, tell us what you think, good or bad. I don't mind. Abdullah's not going to come for you. Just you're safe. Just help us out a lot. And obviously subscribe to the socials, Twitter and Instagram, which are in the description box. If you don't know already, my name's Abdullah.
My name's Abdullah.
And I'm Ibs.
Absolutely fantastic. And once again, because this is take 2, how are you, man? Even I already know.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. We're not going to talk about the snow again because, we've done it already.
Yeah.
Don't want to beat a dead horse. But it's snowing, innit? Yeah.
Make sure you wear some boots. If you're driving, make sure you get some winter tires.
Oh, Ibs, obviously I saw you driving by as I was coming in,
Yeah.
I just couldn't be bothered. I was really going to hide behind the wall and dash a snowball at your head.
Okay.
But anyway, we can do that after, innit?
No problem.
Yeah, I can sort you out.
Yeah.
I can sort you out. Yeah.
Because of my hat.
Huh? I bun your hat, man. We'll know anyway. When this comes out, we'll know, innit? And I'll put the score.
We ain't talking about that, man. This is the Premier League, bro.
Nah, but see, certain men are taking hella else, so they need wins wherever they can get. But anyway, they didn't come here for football, so we'll move on. Yeah, man. But actually, first thing, obviously we did a little, obviously we don't do this enough, but we've done it for once. We did a little poll that reflected some of what we were talking about last week. So hopefully bad. Oh, wow. I just went on the internet. Did Conor McGregor lose?
Yeah. Got packed in.
What's this poll?
I just saw the picture of him later.
What's this poll?
Yeah. So we put up a poll based on what we were talking about last episode, with regards to, remember I made that point about how sometimes it can understanding why people may go to influencers and stuff for advice and stuff, even though they might not be, qualified. And
yeah,
where is it? So it's been more than 24 hours, isn't it? But the vast majority of people. What was my question exactly?
You said, is it
let me see, just pull myself.
basically, is it ever okay to go to an influencer for advice? So the question was, in your opinion, is it ever acceptable to go to influencers for marriage advice?
Yep.
Yeah, and we got 81% of people said no,
81%.
and 90% said yes.
Because they have sense. Wait, what? 80? Yeah, the 80% have sense.
So I don't have sense. The question was, the question was, is it okay? Is it okay? Not is it good? Is it the best? And another thing here is that, and this isn't me saying go to influencers for advice here, but it's like as part of because it's not only going to influencers. It's not.
Listen.
It's not. I know every influencer is a makeup artist.
Take the influencer out of it.
The way you say influencer makes me look, because it sounds like influenza.
You might as well have influencer if you're going to an influencer.
Right, calm it down.
Take the influencer part out of it, right? Mm-hmm. Imagine this, you're going to a stranger.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know this person because chances are a lot of these people, a lot of you don't know these influencers. You maybe know someone who knows them, but you don't actually know them yourself. You're going to a stranger, and in some cases, you're talking up to them about your own marital disputes. So imagine you're walking on a road and you see a stranger across the road.
Hold on. That's a scenario. You've made up.
Yeah, you've made up that
because
scenario.
Not in all cases are people going to go and tell a stranger their whole business.
Exactly.
They might
but
just
that's what
ask
you've
question. Not necessarily.
You can generalize. You can generalize your
that was
situation.
That was a scenario. Let's stick with that, and then let's mention both scenarios where you're telling them your marital disputes, which a lot of people do, and you're not telling them your marital disputes. You're just getting advice. What like I said before, what gives them the accolade? What accolades do they have to give you advice?
They might be experienced.
You're going to them
you're giving to them, huh? they might be experienced in giving people advice, and they're used to people coming to them with
You
their
can't
problems.
be.
So
There's no jack of all trades.
So they've got a big pool of experience to call upon.
They're not. You can't be a jack of all trades. What, like I said, what accolades do they have? In most scenarios,
what accolades do you need to give advice? So you go to your friends sometimes. They don't. What? Yeah. They're not.
What did I say? What did I say in the last podcast? I said. So does that make you a marriage counsellor?
No, but it means that you understand. It means that you might understand people.
You understand people, yes. But you're going to them about a specific issue that you have within your marriage.
But people are people.
And
yeah, this is my thing. I've disagreed with you on this thing in a different sense before. That like, because with me, yeah. So I think it was when we were talking about children. So for people, yeah.
No, I don't care. I'm not getting it, man.
So like people,
I don't get going to an influencer just because they're
you've
popular and they seem like they have.
Yeah, they have. By the way, my answer to this question isn't yes. I don't think, to be honest.
Yes,
I can see both sides of it, and I feel like your reason for disagreeing with this,
such a specific reason.
It's not a specific scenario. I gave one scenario of many.
But the way you're talking, it sounds like you're saying that people are only going to these people because they have a numerous amount of followers. They could be going to them for different reasons. You don't know.
Why did you mention influencer?
Okay, so let me paint.
That's what we're talking about.
Let me paint you a different scenario. Let me paint you a different scenario.
Yeah.
So like, this is a so let's say it's a type of thing where this person, let's say they are let's say they're a, I don't know, like a student blogger or something. Yeah, they talk about student uni life. Yeah, cool, that's their thing. Yeah, and then
can I just mention a point? Literally 5 seconds. We're going based off the point, because the reason why I mentioned influence and whatnot, you're going, okay, fair enough, forget the followers and whatnot, but you're going based off we mentioned last week that social media is not reality.
Yeah.
You're going to this person based off the fact that they've mentioned no accolades. They have no accolades. You're going to them solely based off the fact that they've perceived themselves to be someone who knows, who's experienced and knows whatever. I mentioned last week, how are you gonna go to the specific example I think I mentioned was, how are you gonna go to someone, an influencer who has got 10,000 followers or whatever, and go to them for advice, who's been married for 3 months when you've been married for 5 years? It makes no sense.
Yeah. But
that's
and the thing is, the way I responded to that was that, so let's say, and it's not, I don't disagree with that, but like, so if you're speaking to somebody who, for example, is a person who in a lot of aspects of their life, so let's say they're similar age to you, they're doing similar things to you, they might have, or what they show are similar interests to you, blah blah blah, which is why so let's say their profile may be a bit similar to you, but then maybe their life situation currently is a bit different to yours. That person may, because of, remember what I said last week about life, you know, the trials and tribulations of life sometimes kind of getting you down, getting you whatever. That person may represent a version, quote unquote, of you that hasn't been, you know, affected by these certain things. So, and this is, I guess, why people, like, that's why often, for example, your friends are probably the best people to be able to tell you if you're changing. The people who know you, who are close to you, if you're changing, because based on external factors. Oh, since this happened, you've been a bit different. Is everything okay? That type of thing. So that person can represent that. Maybe that person may be a good and another good person to go to. And another thing is, for example, let's say these people, commonly you see it on YouTube or whatever, that this person may be a person who commonly does this type of thing where they commonly say, oh, ask me your questions and let me do a video about answering these questions. And maybe you agree with the advice that they give a lot of the time, but then that was a year ago. But now you're obviously in a dark space and you're not thinking straight. You know that this person, you often agree with their advice.
I totally hear what you're saying.
Good to them.
I hear what you're saying. I'm not saying you can't go to them for advice or whatnot, or just to get a set. No, that's not what I said.
Production.
No, that's no, because you're taking it out of context now. When it comes to marriage, that's totally different.
How's marriage?
It depends. What? Are you mad?
No. You're going to every situation is different.
No, you can't.
Two situations are the same.
No, they're different because you can.
Everything's different.
You can
marriage
go.
Isn't the only thing that's different.
You can go to someone. I don't mind when it comes to talking about normal, average stuff like life in general, whatever. I would advise going to an influencer or whatnot for advice. But if you want to, go ahead. But when it comes to marriage, that's something that's totally different. I wouldn't. Why would you go to someone? The marriage is such a delicate and sensitive topic.
Yeah.
Why would you go to someone who has no? You wouldn't. I'm trying to think of an analogy here.
No, I kind of understand. I kind of understand. You see, man.
Okay, cool.
See.
Because he has the quality headphones in it, so I wanted to check. Alright, cool. Carry on.
If you wanted to go, okay, how would you feel if you got a letter for the vaccine, for example? Yeah, would you accept anyone to give you a vaccine? Just anyone.
I kind of understand what he's saying.
Or if they did the training.
I do kind of understand what he's saying.
You would only get a vaccine from someone who's a qualified professional or who is at least working for the NHS. Yeah. You wouldn't go to Tesco's where someone is.
I think
this could be a pharmacist.
This is where I kind of agree with him on the point of when you're asking these kind of people for advice, or let me not say these kind of people, when you're asking influencers for advice on this specific topic like marriage, you don't know these people. At the end of the day, you don't know them, and like you said, they don't have any qualifications. You don't know that they're marriage advisors. You're basically asking them for advice based on how they perceive their marriage, and they're not showing you the full story. They're not showing you the entire picture. They're showing you. Not
everyone asked the question.
They're showing you the best. They're showing you the best parts of their marriage. So you're asking them for advice based off what they're showing you, and you can't. And it doesn't make sense basically to ask someone for advice from someone that's not showing you the entire picture. If you're asking someone, and this is why when someone answered the poll and said, what did the person say?
We can go through.
Someone said something about professionals and said they're not qualified professional, and I responded saying, do you go to? Is it only professionals you seek advice from?
100, yeah.
And so that was my answer to that response, because it's not always professionals you seek advice from. You can seek advice from your friends, you can seek advice from your family, but the difference in that is that you know these people, you know them personally. You might not know the full picture behind their marriage.
That's not always a good thing when it comes to advice, though.
Of course, yes.
Sometimes objectivity is a good thing.
Yeah, that was another response. What did someone say? I just want
to say two things.
Someone said, I feel like every relationship is different, and people will be speaking from their perspective. Yeah. And I said,
no one cares.
And I said, don't you seek advice to gain a different perspective?
Because my two things, yeah, 100.
I can see both sides.
My two things is that firstly, in this scenario, I haven't said you're only going to an influencer for advice. That's one, and number two is like that. So for example, you can go to lots of different people for different perspectives. And number two is just because you're going to somebody doesn't mean you're spilling your business to them. So you can ask a very objective. And another thing is, it's not always that mad. Like you're acting as always like it's not that we're always on the brink of divorce here. It could just be, he snores. Do you know what I mean? It could like as in so.
I don't.
But still, why are you speaking to somebody that you don't know?
Yeah,
about that. Yeah. Still, I said I can see both sides, but I'm firmly in the camp of no, don't do it.
Yeah,
by the way,
I'm just gonna mention two things, and I'll let the conversation carry on. The first thing is, I'm not actually against, like when I say influencers, the only exception is somebody who's built a social media platform based off the fact that they specialize in giving this type of advice because they've studied years and their actual profession in real life is this. Secondly, the second thing is, if you're going to go to, like you said, randomers for some advice, and like I said last week, I mentioned mentors in life. If you're gonna, let's say, dress it up in a way where you're not directly talking about yourself, but you want to seek some advice because you know this person's got experience. Why not do that rather than a stranger? Because that person knows you. That person can tailor advice to you. That person knows you. You get what I'm saying? That person knows you. That person knows, okay, you're asking me this. You're this age. I've known you. I know what you're like. So I'm going to kind of tailor this to you. Does that make sense?
That's not always a good thing. I don't think that's always a good thing. Especially depends on the person. Because not everybody's able to process information like that.
I'm talking about a scenario where if you have to speak to someone, it's that. But we're talking about that scenario where somebody doesn't know any better and they would speak to someone.
I think my
thing is speak to a professional if you've got serious issues in marriage that you wanna.
Should we put a real scenario in this to make it, or should we move on?
Oh, we have to.
Okay, cool.
I think another thing is the issue of trust as well. Personally, I wouldn't seek advice from anyone that I don't trust. Yeah. And if you trust a stranger that you've never met, then
something's wrong.
Yeah,
it's an issue.
Do you think everybody seeking advice is stupid? Do you think everybody seeking advice is stupid?
Seeking advice is never stupid. That's the cure of ignorance.
No, I mean, so what I'm saying is that in terms of another thing I feel like is going on with dancers. This is what I'm getting is that the response I'm getting is that there's an assumption that if somebody's going to these people and they're a bit silly, like they're someone who doesn't know anything. But I don't think so. Yeah. So which is the thing that I'm trying to speak against, because sometimes you can just go. You can get their perspective, and all of the points you've said that have suggested that you shouldn't go to these people, just because they're going to them doesn't mean that they're not aware of these things.
Of course,
they just might want to hear a different perspective. That person always has an interesting take on things. Let me hear what they say, and let me take. Maybe they might have some pearls of whatever that I can take and think. Oh, that applies to my life.
I do agree with what Dola said, that marriage is a sensitive issue, and in that sense that. This is not for someone that you shouldn't be speaking to. For some, basically for me, it's just that
you might not even. They might not even know. They might not even. The person who you're asking, the person.
So before that was the question.
The person you're asking may not even. You can dress it up as once again, assuming that they're not stupid. Can dress it up in a way that the person who's being asked the question has no idea that this is even a marriage. This is their marriage. Oh, my friend, do you know what I mean? I think that I think the notion that anyone who relies on YouTubers or whatever for advice, they're a bit of an airhead, I think is a bit unfair. And that's what I'm kind of, because I believe that you can not be an airhead, and do you know what I mean? And you can use the, you know what I mean? I haven't done it, but I don't want to just assume and put a blanket statement that all of these people are going to reveal all of their sensitive information. They're going to completely follow their influencer's advice, and they're not going to go to anybody more qualified. They're going to do all of those things. They're just going to, because all of the answers is almost like you're assuming all of those things are going to happen, which they might not.
Listen, they might not be stupid.
It could just be one of 10 people they've asked.
Regardless,
the cherry on top of the marriage counselor.
For me, it doesn't matter what type of advice it is, whether it be marriage advice, whether it be life advice. I wouldn't ask advice from somebody that I do not know and trust, regardless of what it is. It could be about a car, and this person could be a car enthusiast. I still wouldn't ask them.
Yeah, 100.
I still wouldn't ask them for advice personally, because I don't know them, and I don't. Let me not say I don't trust them.
Come to me.
Yeah, basically, I wouldn't ask advice from anybody that I don't know.
Go to Ahmed.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to say, I just want to leave another disclaimer. I'm reading a comment that says not all influencers are mindless. Vain people make them as not people are all mindless or as vain as people like to make them out. And I think, I want to say,
like you were saying about people thinking that's another tag that people just assign to influencers,
which is not fair.
Unknowingly, and it's not fair.
And what I want to say is, I never said this, and I wasn't bashing influencers. As I said specifically, I was bashing people who go to influencers for advice just because they see the exterior and think, okay, this people knows what they're talking about, because a lot of them don't. I'm not saying all of them. I say a lot of them don't. And B, what?
No, go on.
Am I not talking facts?
No, but
facts.
But when you said a lot of them don't,
a lot of them don't. A lot of them are just.
What's that based off? But you just said you don't know them. Then you said a lot of them don't. Like you don't know that.
Anyway. I'm not bashing influencers, innit?
You just did.
I didn't.
You said a lot of them are
I didn't say a lot. Okay. What else was I gonna say?
I'm only repeating what you said in it. That's all I did. Yeah. What you want to?
I know people who are influencers. I'm not bashing them.
I
was just saying.
I love blacks. My mate Delroy, he's solid. Should we read some more comments?
Are you finished?
Yeah, I finished.
I can't remember what I was gonna say, man.
Instead of even married, you should only go to people who are married or have been.
But anyway,
in the topic of marriage advice, that's fact. I don't want to hear advice from someone that's not married. I'm sorry, I don't.
what are they advising you on?
The question is marriage. The question is marriage advice. If you're seeking the marriage advice from somebody that's not married, that doesn't make any sense.
Okay.
That makes no sense.
Okay.
I don't know how you're going to dress this up, but no.
If something in your marriage, yeah. It's hard because I'm trying to do devil's advocate.
I don't know why. I actually don't know why.
Content.
God.
If somebody, yeah. If okay, cool. Let's say me, yeah. I am. Let's say me. Let's say I was stressed out, yeah.
Yeah.
And cool. Let's say I was stressed out, yeah, about something. Let's say I was stressed out at home, and I'm not getting sleep because, my missus is, I don't know, the shift she's working means she comes home late, or she comes home late from whatever job or something, yeah. And then it means I'm not sleeping or whatever because I always get woken up, yeah, or whatever. Or let's say she, I don't know, she likes to do insanity workout at 2 a.m. all the time, cool, in the living room, cool, and it's just making noise, yeah. Somebody may have an experience, it might not necessarily be marriage, but a similar type of experience that they can draw from that can help me in that situation. Maybe they had a roommate, maybe it was their mum, maybe it was their sibling, maybe, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying, all I'm saying is, yeah, that to say never, because I believe, yeah, that another thing is, so for example, my mum and dad had this problem. Do you know what I mean? Like, to say never, I think
for me,
to me, all I'm saying is that taking the person asking advice, yeah, the person when you're seeking advice, yeah, there's certain things you should be aware of. So, for example, you should be able to compute. To compute what you can take from a person and what you can't, and what is of value, and and where. So, do you know what I mean? So, and in life, you can make you don't have to have been in the exact situation.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you know what I mean? To be able to.
Yes, I understand that, and I agree with that. But for that scenario, maybe because you're trying hard to do devil's advocate, it's not the greatest scenario. But for me,
right,
that doesn't count as marriage advice. That's just an uncomfortable living situation. When I hear marriage advice, I hear there's an issue going on in my marriage that is affecting my marriage. That doesn't count as marriage advice for me.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
I see marriage advice as things pertaining to the husband and wife. So okay, do you know what I mean? So yeah. which a lot of the time is not going to be sensitive issue. It could just be two people clashing for something, which can happen in a marriage and outside of marriage. And obviously it's different in a marriage than outside of marriage, but sometimes the whatevers that you can the principles that you can use may be interchangeable.
Yeah, so like you said, I think it's just the different ways that people perceive things. Because like we've just given two different ways that we hear what we think of when we hear marriage advice, and like you were saying before about knowing what you can and can't take from a person. So yeah, it just depends on the person, and the person that you're asking. But for me, yeah,
okay, I think we've stretched that one out. What were you saying? Obviously, another keeping on the theme of marriage. We didn't answer apparently the question. I know we didn't last week.
Yeah. In
terms of who's getting a better deal. So like, let me add some more meat onto that. Yeah. So I'm gonna open out with a statement. Just for that goodness.
Do you know PE, English? You remember English?
Yeah. Point evidence. Exactly. That's exactly it. No, pill.
Point example.
Yeah, point evidence explanation. Yeah,
that's what they want. Basically.
That's what they want. They don't just want P. That's a D answer. Obviously, last week, we spoke a bit about who gets the better deal, and obviously we didn't delve deeply into why our answers were our answers. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. We did the P and the E, but we didn't do the second E in it. Wink, wink. Shout out production for that one. I want to just add a bit more meat to it and just make it a bit easier to maybe like get into. So when I say who gets the better deal, I think the obvious way to look at it is if you look at it from the woman's perspective, yeah. So if I'm thinking of the everyday woman, yeah, for example, who may be listening, they may see it, yeah. They might not. They might and they might not see it as the pros, for example, for them could be being taken care of in terms of somebody lifting the majority of the financial burden on them. Majority, maybe not all, because especially in this London anyway. So rent and food, for example, that somebody else is going to be knowing that somebody else is primarily responsible and they can kind of lean on somebody for that stuff. Also, obviously having companionship, somebody who's going to, you know, kind of steer the ship, kind of, which I guess that could be a con to some people. And also, obviously, the fact that they are, what else? Steer the ship. Yeah, cool. And let's say cons for them may be some stuff like, obviously, the fact that they're going to have to maybe surrender some of their independence. And I'm talking about perception in this society, surrender some of their independence, quote unquote. Also, the fact that obviously there's going to be a given responsibility on them to, you know, make a home, blah 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 blah, all of that stuff, which may not have been their main responsibility before. And help me out here. I'm doing this off the cuff. Cool, let's leave it at that. And for the man, actually, let's do for the woman. Oh no, for the man, let's do for the man. For the man, obviously, main pros are going to be obviously the fact that they're going to have somebody, you know, to quote unquote hold them down, whatever that you know entails, just because to make it quick, And then obviously the cons, a lot of the time, are going to be from the outset are going to be financial. That is in no way an indictment of marriage, and that's not my opinion. But that's just a broad painting of what it could be perceived as the pros and the cons. So in that, who would you say is kind of winning? And let's if we paint it to, obviously we don't try to follow the main ideals of modern society, but obviously we live in a modern society and it brushes off on a lot of us. So, you know, so kind of start with Ibs. What was your answer last week?
I said the brothers get the
No, you said brothers get the better.
I think you said brothers.
Yeah, I said brothers get
sisters get the better end before.
I said brothers get the better end in marriage. Yeah,
before children.
Because like I said, because of just looking at it from like a modern day perspective of having to go to work and then come home and look after the house. I would say on like a day-to-day basis, I would say that brothers get a better end of the stick when it comes to marriage. Yeah,
but you base that on a woman having to go to work.
Yes.
Is this like in general, or
most women, most married women?
I mean, is this like
our generation are probably working?
Children out the picture, children in the picture, or just in general?
I haven't even thought about children. I guess it's sometimes difficult to kind of separate yourself from the situation and not look at it from an outside perspective.
Yeah,
but
that's why I tried to specify.
I don't know. If children are involved in,
it puts an extra burden.
Yeah, it puts
quote unquote burden on the house activity.
You're talking about a household where the woman's
activity.
going to work and she's raising children and she's doing all of this and she's doing all of that. Now, not ideal, but if we're trying to go according to
but the thing is, I know what you mean. According to
ideally, the woman,
to
if possible, the woman shouldn't really. I'm not going to say shouldn't be working, but should dedicate most of.
She shouldn't have to be have the responsibilities, but
of working as well as
of paying for stuff, which obviously that's the reason most people work. But nowadays, the thing is, people a lot of the time won't even work because of that. Like for example, a lot of women, for example, in this day and age, for example, they would, even if they didn't have to pay for stuff, I'm sure they'll still work.
They'll still,
but that's where there's an issue for me.
Go on.
Like, why are you working when you don't have to?
Because they want to.
Okay. Why? I'm not saying there's an issue with working, but if she wants to work and there's no children involved and nothing, and there's nothing, like everything else is taken care of, cool. But when there's children in the picture and they're being neglected, because they're not being neglected, but there's more time and care that could be dedicated towards them, and part of that is being neglected because they want to go out and work for no reason whatsoever. That surely the highest priority should be.
No reason is the place where people will have a issue with the no reason.
What do you mean?
Because, like I said, if they take away the financial burden on them,
women might.
Okay, let me try and be more specific. I'm talking about a scenario where there's a man, he's earning enough to, let's say, give his wife a certain amount every month that she's satisfied with, to do with as she please, as well as take care of the household, pay for everything, as well as even have some money aside for himself. Yet the woman just wants to, there's 3 other kids to take care of, they're not being taken care of properly, or not. Okay, let me not say they're not being taken care of properly, but there's certain areas where the areas of the children's lives could be improved if the wife was to pay more attention to them, but she wants to go to work because she likes her job. That's where I say this. That's where I see the issue in that scenario.
I think
because she doesn't have to work.
Okay.
And the children are being affected, but yet she wants to go to work because she likes her job. And that job has more of a higher priority than her children being in a better position.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's a fair point. I think every case is different. But what I do think as well is that the society and the country that you live in plays a big part.
But I think that scenario that I mentioned is more prevalent than you would think.
Yeah, I think it is as well. But go on, Ibs.
I'm just like, I think it was just bouncing off what you said about even if a woman doesn't want to work, most women probably want to work anyway. I don't think in this country at least, a lot of girls would grow up like wanting to be a housewife. Do you know what I mean? Just probably because of the examples that they have in front of them. If you go out, basically everyone in this country works in it. If it's a different country, this might be a different situation where all little girls, all of the examples they have in front of them are women that stay at home and look after the house. So
I'm not saying
in that scenario, it might be easier for them to not have to work because they don't see it as basically they haven't seen it enough for them to think that it's a requirement of them. But then if we look at it as it is in this country, I think because everyone works, it's going to be, I don't know, it's just basically, it's going to be more difficult situation to tell a woman that
they'll feel like they're missing out on a lot of what is
no one's asking
basically.
you, no one's saying women shouldn't work. I mean, women shouldn't want to go, or women should want to be housewives all the time or whatever, or be stuck in a house. You can think outside the box and, I don't know, stop. My wife's got a henna business that she wants from home. So no one's asking you to stay inside and not want to make money for yourself. But I'm saying, think of the bigger picture. Think of what your priorities should be, which are raising the children. If you can raise some money, whatever, funding the business, running the business from home, whatever, do it.
Do you think here that
that's just a specific example?
Do you think it's possible, for example, or what would you say to a woman who said that the only way, okay, I can raise children, I can stay at home, not go to work, not do my whatever career, not go out most days a week.
No one's telling you not to go out.
No, not go out to work. I mean, 9 to 5, 4 days a week, or 8 to 9 to 9, 3 days a week, or whatever. And I cannot do that and raise children, but I am not going to be happy, and I'm not going to feel fulfilled. Or
there's a deeper discussion to be had. Why would you not be happy?
Because of all the things Ib said.
Which is? That
they've grown up thinking that, conditioned that as part of living a fulfilled life, I should have something that's some kind of full-time.
There's an issue with, then there's a problem there.
Do you know what, I also think
your idea of happiness is going to work and
not going to work.
We need to ask ourselves, where does this come from?
Yeah, but that's not neither here or there, but that's the situation of people, innit? So for some people, like, it's, I guess that
just needs to be said. All of this stuff again just needs to be mentioned in the early stages of marriage meetings, because that's something that can render both of you being incompatible, because it's gonna be a huge problem later down the line.
So my thing is, it's like, is that worth, for a lot of people, that's not going to be worth, like, almost like, and I'm sure a lot of mums will say this, like, I'm not a mum, I've never been a mum, but I'm sure mums can say that, or a lot of mums will say that, in order for me to, the best, raising the children, I need to be happy, do you know what I mean, within myself. You know what I mean? So me being miserable for 12 hours a day is not better than me being energetic and happy for 6 hours a day with them. So it depends. So you can get me for more time, but you're getting a version of me that's unfulfilled, not happy, and blah blah blah. And who knows what implications that are gonna have. because that could have implications. Or
Of course.
you're gonna get me. Yes, you're gonna have to stay with grandma, or do you know what I mean, go to nursery.
Like
or
I
whatever
said
for
again,
3 hours.
that's a bigger conversation. That's a deeper conversation to be had. Why are you unhappy because you can't go out and work? If everything's been taken care of, why are you unhappy?
The easiest response would be if you couldn't do a lot of the things that you do for that make sure that you're not in that keep you out of the house. Would you be happy?
No one's saying don't go out.
No,
that's the thing.
But
are you unhappy because you can't go out? Because you can go out.
But as in, if you've got a 2-year-old and a 1-year-old, you're not going to be in boardrooms, are you? You can't. Do you know what I mean, you can't be on the construction site, can you? Or do you know what I mean, you can't be on the. Do you know what I mean, you can't be stuff like that. So that's what I'm saying. So
I really don't understand. So what do you mean? So you can't be on a.
You're saying you can't go out, but then you're gonna be, if you've got the kids there and you're meant to be mothering the kids, you can't go out.
When I said
like
go
that.
out, I meant like go out, get some fresh air, go out with friends or whatnot.
No, I mean,
that's what I meant by going out. There's no reason.
I'm talking about going out like in terms of when you're going out, like I mean, getting to work and that. So for example, you don't, necessarily have a 9 to 5, but then you're still out there, especially a lot of the time. Oh, that's why I said on site, in the boardroom, in a meeting. Do you know what I mean? You can't do that stuff. So that's the stuff that they might want to do. And for example, if they
I said, why would you want to do that?
Because they've had the same upbringing, everything that in your life has, or a lot of the things that most of the influences in your life that I've told you, that's what you need to do. That's how you get your fulfillment in terms of getting your risk and that. They've had the same thing.
Then they need to ask themselves why that would be an issue, not being able to go to a boardroom and whatnot, and why that would make them depressed. And they need to uncondition themselves. Because
because you can't just.
I know it sounds simple and it's silly.
It's not simple, is it?
I know it's not simple, but it's an issue.
That's the reality. But that's the reality of.
And that's sick.
Oh my lord, that's the reality of most of the people that we live with in our age group. That's the reality. So you can't just say they're sick. Forget you.
I think that itself is depressing. The fact that
it's depressing, but they
might
still have to get married.
It doesn't have to be depressing. People might love their job.
Exactly. A lot of men are happy to facilitate that.
Yeah.
I don't care if you love your job. The higher priority is raising the children. I don't care. Nothing comes.
Look beyond this person being your wife. Yeah, we're not talking about this person specifically having to marry you. I'm talking about generally.
Talking about generally.
Okay.
The highest priority in life should be raising your children. Not in life, sorry, but one of the higher priorities should be raising your children, higher than any job. I don't care.
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with
that.
Yeah.
Cool. But then, once again, going back to what I said, have been depressed or sad might impair your ability to raise children.
Listen, I don't.
So before you speak,
if you've had to leave a job that you love to raise,
it is what it is. It's a sacrifice you have to make for raising children. You're a woman. You give birth to children.
Yeah, but you can say that. But the rule that doesn't mean it's gonna happen.
Then there's an issue.
Yeah. So what do you do?
I don't know.
So for me, for example, if I'm in that situation,
are you saying if my wife was in that situation where she's depressed?
What I also don't want to do, because what I can kind of see that you're doing with what you're saying is you're making it sound like
simple, and it's not.
No, not even simple, but it's solely the woman's priority to raise this child. Because
it's not. I never said it was.
Maybe if your wife's going to be depressed, you have to come home. Maybe.
Yeah, that's. I'm saying that's what it's. I'm not saying that's what you have to. I'm not saying that's what you said. I get but with the way you're talking, that's what it sounds like.
Okay, I get what you mean by it's not just the woman's issue. Like. That's why I said. Are you asking me if my wife was in that situation? If my wife was in that situation, I'll try and do as much as I could to try and comfort her in that situation. But at the end of the day,
that's the part they were missing out on as well. Because with what you're saying, somebody would just say to you, "Why am I the only one giving up all of my happiness?"
That's why I said.
We both made
that's why I said. Remember, I said. That's what I said. When you're going out, is it just going out to work or just going out for fresh air, going out with friends, whatnot? My wife, I try and encourage her now to go out. Okay, it's not a fair comparison because there's no children in the picture. But I try and encourage her to go out with friends whenever she can and whatnot. Because as a husband, you're meant to do as much as you can to comfort your wife and make sure that she's in a happy home. Yeah, does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Like you're meant to try and. But the main issue I have is why does it make you on like? Can you not see that there's an issue?
That to me, that
psychologically, why does it make you depressed?
That is a separate conversation, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you can't go out, and
it's a separate conversation. It's a very very valid.
Issue.
It's a very valid conversation, but it's the type of thing that it's very difficult to gloss over. And for the sake of
you can't just gloss over
for the sake of, which is what, but
I don't agree with you by saying that it's a deeper issue if you're upset that you can't work, because that's a generalization. And like I said, people might really love their job. So it's a generalization.
No, it's my fault. I didn't say it properly.
Yeah.
What I meant was it's not an issue that you're depressed because you can't go work, but it's a deeper issue that you're depressed, you can't work when you know that the children are a higher priority. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
That's where the issue lies.
Okay.
Like, you know that you're making a sacrifice not only for your children but for the sake of Allah, and yet
that's depressing. Okay, fair enough.
That point I don't disagree with it.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with that at all. So basically, in a nutshell, so if I'm speaking up now, I'm not wrapping up.
I know you're not wrapping up.
Yeah.
I want you to answer the question as well.
Our production, you have to answer first.
No. I want you
Just to remind us, what's the question?
Yeah. So who's getting in this life that we live in, this society that we live in, who's getting a better deal out of the marriage and that? Yeah. So the thing is, I'm gonna give some backstory before I answer, and hopefully time runs out and I don't have to answer it. as always.
You see what I think on them? I don't know.
They're on to me. They're on to me. Yeah. So cool. My answer in brief, yeah.
Yeah.
In one word.
What's your This guy.
No, my answer is that I believe that it very much depends on the man. Do you want me to unpack that?
Of course, you have to.
Cool. So the reason it depends on the man, yeah. So and I'll add meat to this after. But if the man is very very accommodating of all things that you can put into quote unquote the modern woman,
Yeah.
then the man and still is very much on doing his thing. So I'm doing my thing. Everything that's like what Sunnah says I'm meant to do, I'm doing that. But I'm also going to be very accommodating. Then the man loses. If the man is very much by the book, and then you put that into modern society, then I think the man wins.
But if we're following the Sunnah, we're meant to be as accommodating as we can be anyway.
Yeah, you are.
But he's talking about modern society today, but mixing in this country. Yeah.
Because of just certain things that are cool.
I hate that.
So cool. If I do the first scenario, where the woman wins, yeah. The reason is because, so remember what I said last week about yin and yang, yeah.
Yeah.
So like, if the man is doing everything he's meant to do, yeah, then for example, and this is when certain men were speaking to us about getting married, what was stressed out the most is that, you know, we know who I'm talking about, innit? Yeah, that guy, that long guy.
Shout out to the brothers.
The bath washer, stew maker. When he comes in it. Anyway, yeah, that basically, if you're gonna do this and you're gonna do this, you know, like quote unquote properly, then your wallet is going to be hurting you. Cool. So there's that, yeah. And remember, your wallet is going to be hurting you I remember we're talking about modern society, yeah. In a scenario where chances are most of your man them are, especially a lot of the people you know, your colleagues, your friends from school, blah blah blah, brothers aside, even a lot of your brothers are not going to be married, so they're not going to have a lot of these things. A lot of your time is going to be gone because you're going to have to be obviously living together with kindness and honoring your wife, all that stuff. You're going to be you're gonna not have time to do a lot of the things that you might find fun. So in this modern society, we like doing lots of stuff, innit? And not that you're not gonna have time, that's a lie. You're gonna have time, but you're not gonna have as much time to do a lot of the stuff. You're going to be
I was just gonna say, are we thinking of that as a burden? Because also you need to remember that a lot of this sacrifice and a lot of as soon as you get married, a lot of acts in your daily life that are just general are acts of ibadah.
I'm focusing
like providing.
I'm focusing on because in terms of the do you know what I mean, the ibadah in marriage in itself and everything that entails and the barakah that entails, that goes without saying. But I'm kind of not parking it, but I'm just focusing on. I'm literally purposely focusing on what it would be perceived as negatives right now. And this is what I'm just focusing on this.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, time, time, quote unquote, finance, freedom, blah blah blah, and it's all going to be in a context of you having to and you focusing on making sure that you're doing everything that you're supposed to do, and this is how it's meant to be. Everybody should be, two people should be focusing on fulfilling their responsibilities, and that inshallah should lead to a harmonious marriage. If they're not looking at the other person, making sure my wife better be doing it. If you focus on yourself and she focuses on herself, that should lead to a harmonious situation. But let's say, and remember I said I'm focusing on the negatives here. So let's say you're doing that, you're doing everything you can, and you say you've married somebody, cool. And that person may or may not, cool. So let's say that they're doing their acts or whatever, but because you're in a society where, for example, what we just spoke about in terms of work and stuff like that, is the case. So she has that. So she has, her own stuff going on and blah, 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 blah. A lot of what was, remember I said the yin and yang, that traditional stuff, because of the way society is, it's difficult for you to impose a lot of the traditional things on the woman. A lot of them. You can, but it's difficult for you to impose them. So she can do almost, she has the kind of a lot of reign to do what she wants, do some and not do a lot of them. Cool. And what may happen, it might not be that you're the perfect combination of yin and yang and it works perfectly. But what may happen is, firstly, you might see her as a person. Oh, she enjoys this. She enjoys this. I want her to be happy, so I'm gonna let her know she should still. If she worked for, I don't know. If she worked, I don't know. Let's say she designs. I don't know. She designs the buyers. Okay, so I'm out and she has to do this and she has to go and do this and blah blah blah. And I still want her to do this. She's still gonna do all of this. And so she's still doing all of that stuff. Yeah, a lot of the things that may traditionally come with you breaking your back and doing all that stuff, you might have to make your own sacrifices for that, for the sake of what it is and what a modern woman has, because a modern woman has a lot more responsibilities outside of the home innit, than what a traditional woman does. So cool. So if she's still going to do all of that stuff, then you're still going to do your stuff. When you're thinking of the yin and the yang, you might think in your head, I'm not really getting the yin, but I'm doing all of my bits, innit? Yeah. Because modern society allows a man to kind of do a lot of the traditional responsibilities, but doesn't really allow a man in a lot of cases to ask for a lot of his recompense back. That's just how it is, isn't it? Whatever. Cool. So in that situation, it could be perceived that compared to you being married and you being not married, taking away all the barak and all that comes with it, it could be it could be perceived as a bit of an L. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Cool. Whereas remember I said about if the man is, what was the other?
You said if he's very by the book.
Yeah, if he's by the book. If the woman is I'm tired, man. But yeah, you get the opposite to what I said is basically true.
So are you saying the man has the better part?
So I'm saying if the man is doing his thing, fully his thing, and he's 23 and getting married, then it might be perceived that he's not getting the better end of the deal.
Yeah,
because of what he could be getting in like the way he could be chopping life, not being married, innit? Whereas the woman could be, if the woman's is doing her to fully fully, and she's willing to forego a lot of the benefits of modern society that could give her whatever, then it could be perceived as her making certain sacrifices for the sake of marriage.
What sacrifices would she be? Not that I'm saying she doesn't, but
sacrifices for example, a lot of the responsibilities that she didn't have in terms of homemaking, looking after her husband, blah blah blah. She might not have had.
A lot of this. Some of that
because it could have been. She could have just been doing me, myself, and I. But she could be the youngest of 4 sisters and our other sisters. I mean, she doesn't. She's dividing her home responsibilities between 4 people. Now suddenly she's got a whole house that's hers. So it's like she. By
the way, we're not even talking about cultures where like culture brings a lot of stuff into it. You have to take care of the grandma.
I'm kind of speaking about if I'm speaking about like Pakistani Indian from my experience, then not even just, I think it's almost always in my experience youngest, it's almost always the
wife
man that's getting a better deal.
Because the man's basic.
Because in Africa we've got this kind of hybrid where we kind of, it's the whole modern woman kind of thing is kind of encouraged in our society. It's, I mean, it's like the aunties are like, maybe because of what happened to them, they kind of go out and enjoy it. So it's a bit different. I don't think the Asians are there yet fully in my experience.
Yeah, but it's not just in Asian societies.
No, I'm just using that as a mirror, because they have to, like, for example, anyway, let's not get into that because Yeah. So that's I think I answered the question.
No, you did. You did. Kind of.
Yeah.
So yeah. You answered the question. Yeah, I have a question though.
Yeah.
I have a question just based off kind of the first topic we spoke about.
What was that?
So the whole social media thing and influencers. Do we think that there's anything wrong with using social media to make a living?
Oh, you want to go there? Like,
Why not?
Do you think there's anything wrong with using social media to make a living?
Yeah.
Depends on how you conduct yourself on it, to be fair.
Yeah.
Okay. Explain.
Depends on how much you expose yourself to it, to be honest, and what controls you have. For example, when I had a business that it's flopped, but when I had a business that had social media, I employed people to run it for me, so that I just didn't have to deal with interacting with certain people and all the nonsense. Because there's a lot of people, bruv, you get a lot. What I was finding was when I started it and I was managing myself, there was a lot of nonsense and there was a lot of. You get this thing on Instagram. I think people just follow you, send you nonsense, and sometimes they even ask you to follow them back. Otherwise, they will just unfollow you or whatnot. All this stuff, and that's just like the crux of it. There's a lot of other nonsense that I experience. Like, yeah, I'm not doing this, especially from certain people that you shouldn't be speaking to anyway.
I missed the beginning of that, so I don't know.
Is it not making sense?
No, it is making sense.
Yeah. So
did I just get a shot? Did I just take a shot?
No. I was trying to hint something, but you didn't get it.
Okay.
But anyways, I just employed people to run it for me. I think the more you expose yourself to it, because no matter how much you use social media, there's always going to be stuff that you're going to be exposed to.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the less you expose yourself to that, the less tempting it is, and the less of a fitna it is, and the less you feel inclined to get engaged in all the nonsense. Okay. If that makes sense. Because no matter how much, exposed you are to it, you're gonna be eventually. Whether it's the minor parts of the nonsense, you're still gonna be involved in and exposed to nonsense.
Yeah. So I hear that. I think so the way I asked the question was quite broad as well. So, I think
I like the broadness. I've got an answer for once.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Go ahead. So like my and it's based on basically I'll read the hadith here. So Abdurrahman ibn Samara reported that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to me, "O Abdurrahman, do not ask for authority. If it is given to you at your request, you will be held fully responsible for it. If it is given to you without your request, you'll be helped by Allah in it." So that's that's in Bukhari. Cool. So the reason I said that first year is because see how I said authority. When you said making a career from social media,
yeah.
My thing with that is that it's like at a point, even if it doesn't start like this, if you need social media, especially and we're talking about in the influencer type of state to make money from, which means that you depend on your social media currency, which means that there'll be a point where you purposely want to gain influence. You're purposely setting out to gain influence. You need to build your influence to allow, because obviously if you're making money from something, you want to make more money in it, because that's just making money. So you need, in order to do that, you'll start doing stuff to purposely increase your influence. And influence is almost simple. I liken influence to authority. So you want to seek the ability to influence people. So you need to do that. And with that, as it says there, the responsibility that entails is or the fitna that entails is high in it. So it's a dangerous road. And it doesn't mean that everyone doing it is doing it wrong. But what it means is that it's got that thing about leadership. You basically become responsible, or you have a hand in the actions of so many people, to the point where it may get to the point where you might say something, you saying something is okay, is like okay in it for a lot of people, but you might not be somebody who in a normal setting of life is of the required ilk to be able to make those decisions. And you could have a lot of, not blood on your hands, but you could have a lot of jamming. You could have a lot of
I know you're going to ask a question, but just to add to that quickly, I think it's important. I think the thing that is key with social media is sincerity. I think if you're sincere and you know you're sincere, I think you should plan like kind of check control mechanisms from the beginning. So, for example, if you're starting a social media, it would be ideal to have let's say one or two other people kind of check on it with you and make sure that you're kept in line. So
Quality
for example,
control,
quality control. So that, for example, you mentioned, which I was going to mention, you mentioned kind of intentions when posting stuff to kind of gain interactions and gain a following. If you see that you're doing stuff that is out of character or that doesn't agree with your morale or doesn't agree with your religion, kind of get me. Why are you doing it?
Yeah,
kind of.
Basically people that will check you.
Yeah, you need kind of, you need yourself and you
yeah.
need someone else to kind of check what you're doing, check your interactions with other people, check kind of, because sometimes you can be clouded. You can think you're not doing nothing wrong or you're doing this for the sake of.
Yeah, I think with the answer that you gave, I fully understand what you're saying. I think that's a very, very good point that I think people should sometimes ask themselves. But I guess it's also about your intention as well.
Yeah,
because I guess for some people it could be that they're seeking to gain influence. Other people it might be that, I don't know, maybe they're the type of person that just lives their life in a certain way. Maybe they just live their life openly and people are interested in that and they gain influence through that, but they're not necessarily looking for influence. Other people it might be, I don't know, maybe they just want free stuff, maybe they just want sponsorship deals or stuff like that, and maybe social media is a way to gain that. So I guess, and this is it does come. It is your intention.
When you look at the Haif as well, it's not from he's not saying seeking responsibility is haram because seeking responsibility is sinful. It's because of the fact that you're gonna be accountable for it, and so
whether you're seeking it or not.
Sorry.
So whether you're seeking it or not.
So if you're getting influence, then cool, you're going to be responsible. If you're getting influence, cool, Allah will help you. And if you're seeking it, you'll be responsible for it. It may be that what you're doing with it is completely halal and good and fine. That's fine. Yeah. But it's a warning, innit?
Yeah.
Because like, if you're seeking influence to draw people to, so let's say I have a Quran school and I'm seeking influence on my page in halal means to draw people to the Quran school.
Yeah.
No problem in it.
Yeah.
Because you're responsible. That's what it's for in it, and that's something. But if it
can go either way.
It can go either way in it. Yeah. So and where it becomes more dangerous. So that example is probably a safer example. But an example where you're doing it because you're kind of selling yourself, cool, that's fine. But like if everything you do is on social media, the reason that's dangerous is because social media is a place. It's a cesspit of negativity and people doing the most for an attention and haram and fitna and blah blah blah. Where so if your whole domain lives on, for example, Instagram, you like everything you do is on Instagram. It's not Instagram to divert you to somewhere else. Then I would say it's dangerous, isn't it? Not that. I mean, everyone who doing it is an idiot, but it's dangerous, isn't it?
No, I hear that.
This comes back to what I was saying about influencers not knowing what they were talking about, and I never said all. I said most. And the reason why I said that was you find a lot of, coming back to what you were saying, you find a lot of people. Sometimes it's not even an intention to talk about stuff they don't know about or that they don't have a clue on, but they feel pressured to kind of engage. Maybe they don't have any content that day, but they feel pressured to put anything out there just to kind of engage with people and grow their following. So they may feel that it's come from a good place, but they're just putting stuff out there that they have no clue what they're talking about, or they want to fulfill a contract with a sponsor or whatnot. Because sometimes you have these things where sponsors want you to just put out content that engages followers, so that they can. That's what I meant when I said a lot of these influencers put stuff out and they don't have a clue what they're talking about. They're just spewing out nonsense, or they're just spewing out what they heard.
100. But if you ain't got something good to say, or
keep quiet.
No, there's no harm from staying silent.
Yeah, but where social media is a place where it is harmful
to be loud.
It's harmful to stay silent. Innit? You don't get you'll go backwards if you're not. It's like a treadmill. Just like Twitter, those type of places. It's like if you're someone who makes your life off social media, it's almost like to be quiet and not do anything.
No, that's harmful in a scenario where people are used to you saying anything and everything
No,
all
but
the
that's
time.
based on his question. Like, if
Using
you're
it to make a
making
living,
you're making a living of social media,
You can
then
make a living of social media,
but
and if,
not by staying silent. Basically,
not by
is what
saying
he's saying.
silent. You're going backwards.
Yeah.
oh, okay,
If you're not
okay,
moving
okay,
forward,
okay,
you're going
okay,
backwards.
I get you, I get you, I get you.
So
Yeah.
which means that unless you're constantly getting,
Yeah.
I guess one thing is, I guess with the podcast you can kind of say it's similar, which is why we have to be careful. Generally in a podcast setting, that it's like you have, for example, if we how can I explain this? If this podcast lasted 10 hours, the last 3 hours would probably be nonsense. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. So it's that same. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
that
like we were talking about last week about
idle talk.
about like some podcasts just being like an extension of the TL, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
Some podcasts you just listen to and we're like, okay, we get it. You've met girls. You talk to girls. It's like you're a big man.
they don't come. To be fair, they don't come to talk.
All the stuff they
Good,
talk about is just shallow. So
Yeah.
they go on about how they don't care about what's in the timeline, but yet they talk about everything to do with the timeline and what he was wearing and what people do in Dubai, and it's like we get it.
So everyone has to be careful. Basically.
Remember that we know some friends that went to a show,
Bro, yeah.
and
Who's-
all the
Ibs-
questions,
Ibs or me?
you,
Right.
and all the questions, all the well, remember we heard about a show and all the questions.
So
All the questions. The point I was trying to say was that all the questions from the audience were all just nonsense. What?
This is not me.
This was a long time ago.
It's dragging me down.
I'm not involved.
Nah, it's not that deep. To be
I'm not
honest.
trying to sync with you.
It's not that deep, to be honest. It wasn't a music show or whatnot. It was just a show in it. It was just
Okay, we get it. Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah,
it was a podcast show.
yeah. I know. I actually know what you're talking about. I know.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah.
And all the questions were just we were like, remember we were just sitting there, we were like, okay, we get it.
I don't remember. I wasn't
People okay. Anyways. What am I fronting for? I went to a podcast show, innit? And all the questions being asked were like just silly questions, and they were all based on like a similar topic. And they were about sex, innit? And I remember looking at my friend and I was like, we get it. People have sex. What's next? Like every single question was about, remember, have you ever done this? Or have you ever done this? Or have you...
Nothing.
Anyways, yeah, long question short is, if you're going to put out content, have something that's beneficial in your content, innit?
Do you worry?
Idle speech is
like,
dangerous.
How would you say? I know one method has been given by having someone to check you, but how would you say practically? So refreshing your attention, asking someone to check you, but all that kind of stuff, cool. That's that. But in terms of like, other measures of how you prevent yourself from straying and doing a madness.
What? Okay, let's base it.
One very, very practical piece of advice I can give is, your phone can do it for you. Most of these apps have literally limits that you can set for yourself. That
In terms of how much you use it and stuff.
Yeah, literally they'll monitor you, and if you set a limit for yourself, let's say 2 hours a day, if you've used it for 2 hours, it will lock off and you won't use it for the rest of the day.
Okay.
So that's one piece of practical advice that you can use, and most apps have that now.
I would say if you just make sure that if you're gonna be on social media as a Muslim and you wanna stay and you wanna stay upon good, then like
what I was gonna say was
your content has to direct.
What have we done
towards good?
What have we done to check ourselves?
What have we done? Yeah, exactly. So if the content either has to call towards knowledge, call towards good, or call towards the podcast, which inshallah should call towards.
Yeah.
So
but I mean, like, check controls. Have you not gone into group chats and said, look, if we are talking about anything that is mad, or if we are straying, let us know at the start of the podcast. Did we not state our intentions? And we asked the audience to let us know if we're moving mad. Also, do we not speak to the likes of Abdul Wahid and whatnot, and say, okay, and kind of be like, okay, is what we're doing right? Kind of constantly asking for reminders in regards to what we're doing. Is it like, does it seem like it's sincere? Does it get me?
No,
we
yeah,
constantly.
yeah.
These are
one thing it's just to jump on that. If you're going to somebody, I just guys be wrap up. If you're going to somebody, can I know, because I've heard this before in it, like, oh, you know, the sheikh said, you know, reviews this and blah blah blah. It's like, don't go to somebody who's gonna just say yes in it to what you're doing, because there's always a sheikh that's gonna say yes in it. Do you know what I mean? There's always someone that's gonna say yes to something or say yes.
Not if they're sincere.
No, yeah, but are they? Yeah, like, do you know what I mean? Or
no, if they're sincere, then if you're sincere.
Yeah, but
it's your responsibility as a Muslim.
If you go to somebody who's not, then you can tell yourself you've gone to a sheikh or whatever. But have you gone to somebody who's gonna tell you? Do you know what I mean? Because like there's a standard, yeah, and then there's goalpost movers in it, and people move the goalposts for certain things in it. Like, for example, a lot of what we see on YouTube, a lot of people, there are people who will say. A lot of people who will say that it's fine when it's just not, but there are people that will say. So if you go to those people, then you can say I've gone to a sheikh. Yeah, do you know what I mean? So just to kind of justify what you've done.
I think again that comes.
The streets.
I think that comes. I think that point comes down straight to sincerity from both sides. Sincerity from you, as you said, in regards to who you go to. Are you going to go to someone that you know it's not going to give it to you straight, or fulfill the responsibility to tell you how it is? Also, responsibility from the other part to tell you how it is. Because as Muslims, we're meant to pull each other up on stuff. You mentioned a sheikh. If the sheikh is sincere, he's meant to let us know that what we're doing is wrong. That's he's meant to pull us up on that.
Yeah, he's a real sheikh. And on that bombshell, should we leave it there? Yeah, I think it's 11:30 basically, or 12.
Yeah.
Alright, cool, man. Don't want production to kick us out. Cool, man. Once again.
That's been episode 21.
Shoot, 21, you know.
21, yeah.
21. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Socials once again. Instagram is Jollof
It's down there, innit?
It's there, man. But yeah, Twitter is JJ_pod, Jollof after Jummah at Gmail. After Jummah?
Marriage part 2.
Jollof after Jummah at gmail.com.
I want to get into. I want to get into the finance, the crux of
of marriage.
Yeah, I think that should be its own thing. And I want to invite a certain man. I want to invite the stew maker.
Yeah,
for that one.
It will be a good
his favorite topic.
Yeah,
but I don't know. Maybe we'll do a phone thing or whatever.
Maybe yeah.
Yeah, man. Anyway.
Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum salam.